We're going to start off coming back to the immigration issue. And as you remember from Wednesday's programme, the Supreme Court decided to reject the Home Secretary's appeal and uphold the Court of Appeal's conclusion that the policy of exporting immigrants from the UK to Rwanda was unlawful. Well, no sooner had that happened and no sooner had we talked about that than James Cleverly began making a statement. He said, "We have a memorandum of understanding with the Rwandan government, which we're going to upgrade to a treaty, which is legally binding to make sure we address the specific points. It is ready pretty much now to turn into a treaty. That can be done within days, not weeks, months, days. The legislation could go through the House of Commons quickly." And so what he is effectively doing is overriding the decision of the Supreme Court by attempting to use domestic legislation to do that. Now, this is unprecedented. And no matter what you think about the immigration issue, the issue here really is the fact that we in this country, still supposedly a constitutional monarchy, we have three branches of government. We've got the executive, we've got the legislature, and we've got the judiciary. And each of them is supposed to act to hold, to place limitations on the other. And if the idea of parliamentary sovereignty is now going to override that of the judiciary, and we see that this is the kind of the direction of travel from the executive, because the government is attempting or has attempted to push through legislation which restricts, for example, the right of judicial review of government decisions. And now we have the government attempting to use the parliamentary sovereignty and legislation through Parliament to override the judiciary. This completely subverts our constitution. One of the other things that James Cleverly said was that he intends to break the business model of the human traffickers. And I just want to bring this statistic back on screen again, because of course, let's just look at the scale of the business model that's being used by human traffickers. So every year, human traffickers make £130 billion profit from the trade. That's 21 million victims worldwide. 54% of them end up in sexual exploitation, 38% in forced labor, 8% in other categories, including organ trafficking. That's £130 billion. And that is a significant scale of transaction, let's say. And whatever the government is doing here, as they say, to break the business model, will do nothing of the kind. We've made this point many times before. This is too big business. And it's like the drugs trade. They put a veneer of dealing with it on top. And that's really the cost of doing business. So back to the constitutional issue here. Just before we move to the constitutional issue, just remind you again of this that I brought on Wednesday. This is from the Standard, the Evening Standard. It was from PA originally. Rwanda says it can only bring 200 migrants from the UK under the controversial deportation scheme. So, this is not going to solve the immigration issue in the UK. And I don't believe it's intended to either. This is putting a veneer of we are doing something on it. But in the meantime, they are subverting the constitution of the country. So let's look at what Jonathan Sumner had to say about this. He said, "The plan to use law to declare Rwanda as safe is constitutionally quite extraordinary." He said it would effectively overrule a decision on the facts, on the evidence by the highest court in the land. The courts have perused hundreds of pages of documents to reach this decision. For Parliament simply to say the facts are different would be constitutionally quite extraordinary. So that's what his position. And really, this is something that we should all be concerned about. And as I say, it doesn't really matter what we think about the immigration issue itself. This is a separate issue. And everybody is, I think, in agreement that this sort of unbridled immigration that we've been saying needs to be stopped. But the government that is using people's emotion about this issue to drive forward a constitutional destruction plan, which has been in place for many, many years. And aside from that, then there's the issue of the European Court of Human Rights that the British government has wanted to be out of for quite some time, and to bring in a British Bill of Rights, which of course will remove many of the rights that they claim that we still have. A little bit of comment on Twitter here about James Cleverly himself and how clever he is. This is Dave Sumner Smith. Seriously, our new Home Secretary's greatest academic achievement is a degree in hospitality from Ealing College of Higher Education. So that was the comment on Cleverly. Cleverly felt he needed to respond to this. He said, my vocational degree taught me finance and accounting, marketing, comms, HR and team leadership, logistics and process management, employment law, contract law, and tort law. Doesn't include constitutional law, I think you'll notice there. But anyway, all very useful, he says, in running a government department. And by the way, it was from Thames Valley University, not Ealing College. So that was his position on this. I find this a very dangerous situation, Brian, because the natural concerns that everybody has over immigration are being fed off here in order to push through the destruction of whatever our constitutional arrangement is.
Yeah, we if we put it in quite simple language, Mike, we've got a government which is out of control. We've described it previously as being a government of occupation. We've talked about a uniparty system where there is no right and left or blue and red party system. It's simply one group of individuals who are trying to tell the public we can do as we please because we've been elected to Parliament. So this is very dangerous. And for me to watch the government talking about trafficking, we've got an interview with a very brave lady called Sam, who was up on the front page of the UK column. She was trafficked, given full asylum in UK, and then what did the same governmental system in UK do? Stole both her children. So people really need to wake up because we've got individuals thinking they can do as they like simply because they got access to Westminster.